Elijah Muhammad, both men in their wisdom, knowing that we were not yet ready or up to the task at hand in helping with the resurrection process, extended themselves in the current Jesus in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet you in these three names, in the greeting words of peace and of paradise in the Arabic language of our forefathers of paradise. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam.
Those of us who
Wa
are,
alaikum salam, sir.
sir, those of us who are not familiar with the words, it means peace be unto you. And as children growing up, we would probably heard or hear the elders saying, God is in the eye of the storm. In the eye of the storm or the hurricane is the most peaceful part of that weather pattern. But having given thanks for those who resurrected the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and extending themselves in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who brought this message to us collectively, who is helping in the resurrection process. I can't, and it would be remiss and improper of me to proceed and not also extend my thanks to our local representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. My thanks and gratitude, humility, and honor to be asked to represent, opening to speak to the believers in welcoming you to this, our study group, our study class session, where the topics are very vital to our development that allows us to be growing up into the position that we should be in helping with the process of going after our lost phone. Thank you, Brother Student Minister Clive Mohammed, and thank you, all the believers and all the other laborers in the process of being present in our class this evening. I'm having a little computer glitch in bringing up the material that we should be representing. But I am sure that those of us who recall what the message will be relating today, as we are deliberating to do, will speak to the essence of God. Possibly, if I'm not overly outlandish as to who God is. And so in that respect and honor to what the minister will speak to, just before I bring him on, because I'm not the speaker, I'm not the person that is going to be carrying the message. I am what they refer to as opening the wicket, smoothing it out, getting it prepared, ready, opening up the minds, the thoughts to receive that which he will be delivering to us. That some of it will be, for those of who are here for the first time, it will cause you to say, where did that thought come from? And if you hold on to that thought, and when he gives the permission for questions and answer, you can raise that for clarity, or you can choose to do so at another time. But I am sure that as we reflect on the times of what's happening around us, the messages that are coming through the news, I was just told in my inbox, I've not been able to check it out yet, but another mass shooting has taken place in the US. And I'm sure that is of concern. But while that is taking place in the US is telling its residents to avoid Jamaica. Quite ironic. And therefore, we are in a space and time that is suggesting to us, if we listen carefully, that God is in our midst. And he said or taught through one of his prophets, that we refer to as Jesus of 2000 years ago, that when we see all this, the time is at hand, but we don't know the specific time. And it's no different from what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been explaining to us in the times and what must be done. So I want us to, at this point, open our minds for the reflective thoughts that will be expressed to us through our representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Student Minister Clive Muhammad, for us to run over in our minds as we move forward in this time. And in it will be the expression of what is to be done in us, making ourselves approved. And so, therefore, is to also glorify our Father, heaven-bound, I should say. So thank you for all joining. My peace I leave with you as I came, and I now turn us over to our student minister, representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan here in Jamaica. In other words, the Prime Minister of Jamaica in representational talk, yes? As Islam takes its root, we have different spaces and we have different presidents, but they all unite and join in one thought process for the growth of creating the unity and unification of the Black nation and the nations that have suffered the onslaught of white supremacy in now recovering, seeing them for what they are and who they are. I've asked before and we don't seem to join on to it. Please open your mics, please. And join me with a round of applause in welcoming our student minister, Representative Mr. Louis Farrakhan here. Thank you for listening, and I welcome us to a very
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Salam,
Brother
brothers
Minister,
and sisters.
thank you.
Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness to the oneness of God. I bear witness to Moses, the Israelite prophets, and the Old Testament. I bear witness to Jesus, the apostles, New Testament. I bear witness to Muhammad ibn Abdullah and the Holy Quran. But if I live to be 1,000 years of age, I would never be able to give Allah thanks enough for his intervention in the affairs of the human family, coming to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, and in raising up the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, his messenger Messiah, and by extension, giving us their son, their spiritual son, our divine guide, honor, comfort, and mercy in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, once again with the greeting words of peace and paradise. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Salam.
Sir.
And thank you for your kind words, Brother David. And how is everyone feeling tonight?
Fine, sir.
Fine, sir.
Praise be to
Yeah,
Allah.
great.
And sir, all praise be to Allah and
All
yourself, sir.
praises due to Allah. I'm feeling fine as well, still giving thanks to Almighty God Allah, and still striving
Alhamdulillah.
hard in Allah's name to make my word my bond. Our subject for tonight is what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. He could sum up the teachings in these words. 6 words. Accept your own and be yourself.
Thank you,
So
sir.
in English lesson C1, the question is asked, and what is your own self? The answer that Master Fard Muhammad gave us through the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is, your own self is a righteous Muslim. I'm asking you to keep your mics muted, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's fine, sister. So your own self is a righteous Muslim. The question again is asked in English lesson C1. Are there any Muslims that are other than righteous?
Good question.
And the answer is, I beg your pardon. I have never heard of one. So here, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Fard Muhammad are having this conversation and giving us these lessons, and Minister Louis Farrakhan said that God is asking pardon for us, because even though our nature is Islam, but we have been living an unrighteous life. We have not been living the life of a Muslim. And my aim tonight is to explain to us why we have not been living the life of a Muslim. Some may say, I am not a Muslim. Well, what's the definition of Muslim or Islam? A Muslim is one who submits himself or herself to do the will of God. Is there something wrong with that? Is there something wrong with a man or woman submitting himself or herself to do the will of God?
No, sir.
And as black people, where we say, I'm a black man, I'm a black woman, but I'm not no Muslim. I ain't no Muslim. Well, I would say that's your problem. And I would further say that you are not in your nature. You have been robbed, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, you have been robbed of the knowledge of yourself. In Africa, we were Muslims. Before the Caucasian went to Africa and colonized Africa, we were Muslims in Africa. It was the North Africans who went over into Spain and Portugal and civilized those countries in Europe. But in 1555, so teaches the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Caucasian went into Africa and captured millions of Africans and brought them into the Western Hemisphere. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the record of our slavery began in 1555, and if you go to the Congressional Library, you will find these records. However, the records that we were given is that slavery began in 1619. But the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that these 64 missing years are the years given for breaking the black man and woman stolen from Africa and making him other than himself.
Go ahead, brother, go ahead.
Everything about us, brothers and sisters, reflects our colonial past. Our names reflect our colonial past. In Africa, there were no such names as Brown, Mr. Green, Mr. White, Mr. Culpepper, Mr. Underbrook, Mr. Bird, Mr. Fish. These names did not exist in Africa. So if these names did not exist in Africa, as our famous poetress, Louise Bennett, would say, how did we derive
Go ahead.
at these names? How did we come by these names, brothers and sisters, if these names didn't exist in Africa? Question, if you see a Chinese man or a Japanese, and he tells you his name is brown, or green, or white, would you look at him strange?
Yes, sir.
What the hell this man doing with this name? How him come by Mr. Green and Mr. White? And him supposed to be Mr. Chin,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Yang, Mr. Ping, Mr. So how him
Pling
come by brown? Did we ever question the names that we have? Did we ever question the language that we have? Have we ever questioned our culture? The culture that we have. Brothers and sisters, in these colonies, like we live in Jamaica, and in Trinidad, and in Barbados, and in Guyana, all of these colonies, if you listen to the names of the towns, like Jamestown in Guyana, and all these other towns, and like we have Princess Street, and Charles Street, and Duke's Street, and we have towns and cities, our parishes like Saint Elizabeth.
Saint Mary.
I didn't know that Queen Elizabeth was a saint. We have Saint Elizabeth. We have Saint Catherine. We have Saint Margaret's Bay and Saint Margaret's Hospital too, right?
Yes, sir.
We have Queen Victoria Pier, right downtown. And ironically, if the prince is coming through, they fix the streets. They repave them and they refurbish them and they put up signs and they clean the streets because our colonial master's children will be passing through. So we were remnants of our enslaved past, brothers and sisters.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
And when you go into the dictionary, black is bad and white is good.
Sir.
If a black cat pass you, you spin your roll. For the Americans who may not know what spin your roll is, you turn around a couple of times.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because you say the black cat is bad luck.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And one time when we saw a black bird, we would say it's Duppy bird. Black fruit cake was devil fruit cake. White fruit cake, angel fruit cake. If somebody has some goods on you and they want to use it against you, they say they go and blackmail you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not getting any promotion in the business place, you're blacklisted. Are you blackballed?
Yes, sir.
Back in the day when lawyers would play con games, they still do. That would be referred to as black law.
Yes, sir.
In the movies, angels wear white, witches wear black. All of this affects black people in a way that we suffer from an inferiority complex. And all of these things affects us, dear brothers and sisters, psychologically. Affects us in a way that we don't even know that it is affecting us. and I am not going to keep you long tonight. Have you heard of Jane Elliott and her blue-eyed, brown-eyed experiment or test? Any one of us have ever heard of Jane Elliott's experiment? Brown-eyed, blue-eyed. In that experiment, right after Martin Luther King died, the next day, Jane Elliott, based on conversations that she heard, did a test with the third graders that she had. And she separated them by the color of their eyes. So she separated brown-eyed from blue-eyed. And the brown-eyed would literally be suppressed. The blue-eyed would be given privileges. They would be given 2 lunches. They would be given time to go to the restroom. They would be given so much leverage. And the brown-eyed, they would be given no leverage at all. Jane Elliott was hard on them. And you know what? They have it on YouTube. They have these from the 1960s, these experiments on YouTube, where you can visit YouTube and see Jane Elliott in the classroom with her pupils going through these experiments. The Eye of the Storm. Write that down and view that video. The Eye of the Storm. Jane Elliott was there with them, and the blue-eyed children started laughing because they were so happy that they were given all these privileges. The brown-eyed children started crying because they were deprived of certain privileges. All of them were Caucasian. Because it was a Caucasian town, there were no black people in the town. So she was conducting her experiment with only Caucasian children. One of the young men in the documentary said, "I felt like a king." I want you to think about that now, brothers and sisters. One of the young men in the experiment, in the video, he said, "I felt like a king," because of the privileges that he got, that the brown-eyed did not get. He felt like a king. Think about how white people feel. How white children feel when they have all these privileges and the black children have none. A black man comes out of his house to go and look for food for his children and got shot 9 bullets just because his refrigerator was empty. And he went outside and the color of his skin was black. What do we believe that these things do to us psychologically? What do we believe that these things do to us? When a white child, and this is not racism, if it is racism, call it reverse racism. Because as the minister would say, will the real racists please stand up? Because black people has never been racist. Black people can never be racist. Because to be racist, you have to have the power to be a racist. Well, that word can be broken down as well, but we're not looking at it from that perspective this evening. But a white child goes into the classroom and he's taught Christopher Columbus discovered the islands. Amerigo Vespucci discovered America. The father of medicine is Hippocrates. The father of mathematics is Pythagoras. The father of philosophy is Plato and Socrates and Aristotle. What do you believe that young Caucasian child be taught that his forebears are the fathers of every science and art and philosophy? What do you believe that does to that child psychologically? It makes that child feel like a king. And what do you believe it does to a child, a black child, who was taught that your fathers were monkeys swinging on trees and whist in Africa? You never contributed anything to civilization. Your fathers never contributed to civilization. Don't you believe that that black child will walk with his head down in the ground and his shoulders dropped?
Yes, sir.
And is psychological, is the psychological effect that this will have on him, as opposed to the psychological effect that being taught that you are supreme and your fathers are supreme has on a white child. So what has happened to us as black people? Why are we the way we are as black people? Have you ever heard of the Clarke-Doll test? Mamie and Kenneth Clark, who experimented in a classroom on a thesis for a master's degree that Mamie Clark did with some dolls. I want to share my screen because I think I have. Can I be allowed to share the screen, Mr. Operator? Mr. Telephone Man.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, beloved. Yes, sir.
Can I be allowed
Yes, sir.
to share? No, I'm talking to the operator. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Operator, for giving me the privilege to share my screen. I hope I can find what I'm looking for now. All right, so just, can everybody see the screen?
Yes,
Yes,
I
can
am.
everybody see it? You can?
Yes, sir.
Experiment background. The Clarke-Doll test was conducted by Dr. Kenneth Clark and his wife, Mamie Clark, for her master's degree thesis. The study focused on stereotypes and children's self-perception in relation to their race. The results of the Clark study were used to prove that school segregation was distorting the minds of young black kids, causing them to internalize stereotypes and racism to the point of making them hate themselves. The Clarke-Doll test is well known due to its social relevance and impact, although some say that the result lacked experimental weight. It found contrast among children attending segregated schools in Washington, D.C. versus those in integrated schools in New York. In 1954, in Brown versus the Board of Education, the experiment helped to persuade the American Supreme Court that separate but equal schools for blacks and whites were anything but equal in practice and is therefore illegal or against the law. This made the experiment even more controversial. It marked the beginning of the end of Jim Crow. No, all of this that is written here, we could sum up some of this and say, you know what? This changed nothing. in the American society. Because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that integration was used as a trick for Black people. When we were allowed to integrate into the white world, when we were allowed to go to white restaurants, guess what we did? We stopped going to Black restaurants. And Black restaurants started losing sales, and Black restaurants closed as a result of Black people now. At one point, when you went into a white restaurant, they would throw food on you, they would throw juice on you, they would throw water on you, and they would drag you out and beat you. But after they allowed you into white motels, white hotels, guess what Black people did? They stopped going to Black motels and Black hotels, and Black people started losing income as a result of integration. However, I want to say this, dear brothers and sisters, that in the test, in the experiment, the Clark-Doll test, this is what happened. They had a Black doll and a white doll, and they called Black children, and they asked the Black child, who is the pretty doll? The Black child pointed to the white doll.
That's right.
Who is the handsome doll? The Black boy pointed to the white doll. Who is the good doll? The Black child pointed to the white doll. Who is the bad doll? The Black child pointed to the Black doll. Who is the wicked doll? The Black child pointed to the Black doll. Who is... So everything that was good was attributed to the white doll, and everything bad was attributed to the Black doll. Now you know what happened? When the children were asked, which doll do you look like? In one of the experiments, one of the children ran in tears, knowing that they just discriminated against their own self. Even as a child, 6 years of age, that child knew that I just put myself down. I just discriminated against my own self. What do we believe that these things did to us psychologically? These are the questions, brothers and sisters, because these things has a psychological effect on us as Black people. A man by the name of Henry Berry. Have you ever heard of Senator Henry Berry and his speech that he did in the Virginia House of Delegates? Okay, let me see if I can share that. Man. Let me see if will I be having problems here? Wow. I may be having some problems here in sharing this. Anyways, because I really wanted to share this though. I might just read it if I can't share it based on the screen and what is happening with the screen. And it's not allowing me to see where I can go in to share, because I wanted to share it with you so that you could, matter of fact, let me try something else, because we can always improvise. Let me see if I can improvise, because we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, right? Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen, brothers and sisters?
Yes, sir.
No,
You can't?
sir.
You can't?
Yes,
No, I
sir.
see
Yes,
that.
Yes,
sir.
sir. I
No,
can see it.
no, no, yes, sir. No.
You- Okay, okay. So you can, all right? So let me see if I can shift this over now. Wow.
I don't think you're gonna get that much feature.
Hmm. All right. I'm learning a little bit about this thing. So this is what Henry Berry said. Pass as severe laws as you will, to keep these unfortunate creatures in ignorance. Guess who the unfortunate creatures were? Was our fathers, brothers and sisters. This is how they refer to us. You have ever heard about the bell curve?
Yes, sir.
And that black people are 3/5 of human beings.
Yes,
So we are
sir.
not really full. That's why they treat us the way they do, brothers and sisters.
Yes, that's
Because they don't consider us human beings. When black people in England went to discuss reparations, do you know what the Caucasians did? They walked out of the conference room. And I
Yes, sir.
remember we were in Barbados. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the delegation of us, we were in Barbados. And one of the brothers in Barbados, he brought that up. A very well-known author, writes a lot of books. His name is not coming back to me. David Commission. David Commission. And he brought that up. You know what the minister said to him? The minister said to him, the reason why they walked out, Brother David, it is because they don't think that we are human beings. They don't see us as human beings. So they don't see themselves having a conversation with us about reparations. Pass as severe laws as you will to keep these unfortunate creatures in ignorance. It is vain unless you can extinguish that spark of intellect which God has given them. So Henry Berry knew that there was something that God gave us of intellect. Sir, we have as far as possible closed every avenue by which light might enter into their minds. Listen to these words, brothers and sisters. We have as far as possible closed every avenue by which light may enter their minds. So will a real intellectual please stand up? We have only to go one step further to extinguish the capacity to see the light. And our work would be completed. They would then be reduced to the level of the beasts of the field, and we should be safe. Oh, brothers and sisters, I want you to think about even these words that were said. Because look at the condition that we are in today and tell me if we have not been reduced to the levels of the beasts of the field. Do you believe that black people can go down lower than we are presently? Talk to me, brothers and sisters.
No, sir.
There is a song that they sing. I'm going down. Well, we're not going down. We have gone down.
But we are.
And we are down. And the only place for us to go is up. Because the only other place we go after down is under. And we have been putting one another under because of our level of bestiality and us being reduced to the levels of the beast of the field. In the book of Genesis, God says, come, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. I want to ask this question, brothers and sisters. Who made the Negro? Please mute your mic, family. Did God make the Negro?
No, sir.
Or did the Caucasian, the slave master, make the Negro? So whose product is the Negro?
Yes, sir.
The Negro is the slave master's produce. So he can put on display what he has made. This is his product. We don't know what a real man or woman looks like. And I shouldn't say we don't know, because we in the Nation of Islam know, because we've been taught, we've been shown, we have seen what a real man, black man I'm talking about now, and black woman looks like. But the Negro is the slave master's product. So it wasn't God who made the Negro. There are what is called slave codes. I want to bring up slave codes. I want to show. Well, you know what? Let me see if I can bring this up first and then share, so that I don't have an issue when it's time to share. All right. Very good. Very good. So let me go to sharing now. I'm learning these things, brothers and sisters. Please be patient with your little brother. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So slave codes, chapter 8. Slaves cannot constitute families. Being property. And this is by a man by the name of Godel. Or Godel, however you pronounce it. Slaves cannot constitute families. Being property, goods and chattels, personal, to all intents, constructions and purposes whatsoever, they have no claim on each other, no security from separation, no marital rights, no parental rights, no family government, no family education, no family protection. The family relation originates in the institution of marriage and exists not without it. Did you hear what the Caucasian said? He said the family relation originates in the institution of marriage and exists not without it. So those of us going around having pickaninnies, just having sex, having babies, no family, no husband, no wife, no. Says family does not exist without the institution of marriage. Anyways, let me go on, because I'm not dealing with us tonight, dealing with them. All right. We have already proved that slaves cannot have families or be members of families by proving that they cannot be married. To this latter point, in its connection with the farmer, we cite the words of Judge J. A necessary consequence of slavery is the absence of the marriage relation. No slave can commit bigamy because the law knows no more of the marriage of slaves than of the marriage of brutes. A slave may indeed be formally married, but as far as legal rights and obligations are concerned, it is an idle ceremony. Of course, these laws do not recognize the parental relation as belonging to slaves. A slave has no more legal authority over his children than a cow has over her calf. This is what the Caucasians said about us as Black people, brothers and sisters. Do we believe that this is a plaything? Do we believe that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is here by accident
Not at
or
all.
by chance? Or do you believe that the Muslims hold meetings to have these conversations because everything good? Jamaica, no problem, man. And America, nice too, you know. Everything is good, man. These people make up stuff in their head, man. These people just get some ideas in them head and just want to do some things, man. No, brothers and sisters. It's not like that. It ain't like that. We are here because we have an obligation to be here. We are here because we are fighting for a cause. We have a fighting song in Islam. We are fighting for Islam. And we will surely win with our Savior Allah, our universal King. Now listen to this, brothers and sisters. Let me see if I can bring another subject matter up for sharing for the screen. Is everybody all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is everybody
Yes,
all right,
sir.
brothers and
Yes, sir.
sisters? You sure you all right?
We
Yes,
good, brother.
sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Sure I'm
we
not
are.
boring you?
No, sir. No,
Okay.
sir.
No, sir.
All right. I'm having problems with that. So let me just read it. Jesse Jackson said in 1985
Jesse Jackson.
about the news media
Let me mute myself.
portrayed Black people as less, listen, Jesse Jackson says the news media portrayed Black people as less intelligent than they really are. In film, Black people are also shown as in a stereotypical manner that promotes notions of moral inferiority in terms of female movie characters shown by race, according to one study. You didn't hear that. Jesse Jackson said according to female movie characters. Look at how the Black woman is portrayed in movies. Is the Black woman portrayed in movies in a dignified manner? Talk to me, brothers and sisters.
No, sir.
With her breast out of doors, Minister Farrakhan says, looking like it's feeding time. If she pass a baby, the baby start crying. Because the baby think it's feeding time. And grown men start crying too, because they want some too. May I have some too? So you have grown babies. Yeah? May I have somebody to see, but of late, what used to happen then when Jesse Jackson was younger, maybe 20, 30 years ago, that was child's play compared to now. Have you seen Beyonce perform? Have you seen Lady not Lady Gaga, because Lady Gaga, that's Lady Gaga's. Who is Lady Gaga, black or white? I'm not even sure. But Rihanna, all our sisters, do we believe that they willingly come out in the manner that they come out, or some promoter or manager determines how they portray themselves? I respectfully submit to you, brothers and sisters, that we are being made, and our sisters are being made, to portray themselves in a certain manner to bring us down. So I'm going down. I'm bringing them down, and there's not going to be any way for them to get up, because I'm going to keep these Negroes down, because I know these Negroes love booty. You all love booty, right? Black man loves booty, so guess what? I'm going to show you booty all day long. So you won't have anything else to think about, black man. So your creative mind that God has given you will be inoperable. See, so that creative thinking won't be in operation. Can you fight a lion and think creative at the same time? Can you run from a lion and think creative at the same time? A lion is chasing you. What's on your mind? Escape, right? Get away, right? Don't get eaten, right? So if they give us all this drama, can our creative mind be at work while we are dealing with all of this drama? Emphatically no. So here we are as black people. God has given us our creative abilities, and our creative abilities cannot come to the fore because our survival instinct is what is in operation. We have to be surviving. We have to be striving to survive, struggling to survive. So we can't think about anything else, just survive, survive, survive. Huh? So this is what it is said. According to one study, using vulgar profanity or using vulgarity and profanity, black people in the movies, in film, 89%. White people, 17%. Is that a lie or is it the truth?
It's the truth.
It's the truth. It's not a lie. You turn on these black movies. I mean, you are ashamed, especially if you have any righteousness in you. Especially if you have children around you, you're trying to teach them right. Hey, you MF, MF, da. And guess what? They have some of our sisters now. I'm not going to call any names. There's this one sister. She's a comedian. Oh my God. When she acts, I mean she cusses. But they use us to curse and to cuss, and we feed on it, brothers and sisters, and it becomes a part of us, and cursing becomes a part of our very lifestyle. Number two, being physically violent. Black people in movies, 56%. White people, 11%. So when they made Boys in the Hood and the Menace to Society, they were portraying to us as black people what they wanted us to become, what they wanted us to be. So you give us roles, and these roles that you give our brothers and sisters in movies, you make them models. So these are your models, playing roles, and then they become our role models that we look up to strive to become. And then what do we become at the end of the day? Oh, we need Jesus, brothers and sisters. And don't leave because I say we need Jesus, because we really do need Jesus. And I'm not talking about the Jesus of 2,000 years ago. Jesus' definition of a slave is a person whose mind is ruled over by another, whose sphere of activity is limited according to the wishes of his master. So the slave is the Negro that is made by the Caucasian. So Paul said, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed. By what? By the renewing of the mind. And Christ is the one who brings about the new mind. So Paul said, let this mind be in you, the same that was in Christ Jesus. What was that mind? Jesus being man thought it not vanity to be equal with God. That's the mind. So Christ consciousness is God consciousness. Christ is one who is anointed with power to crush. And once Christ is formed in us, the power to crush is formed in us. And the power to overcome our enemies, the slave masters, children, and everything that they made of us and put on us, we have power to overcome. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and I'm quoting the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, first my people must be taught the knowledge of self. Then and only then will they be able to understand others and that which surrounds them. Anyone who does not have a knowledge of self is considered a victim of either amnesia or unconsciousness and is not very competent. The lack of knowledge of self is a prevailing condition among our people. The knowledge of self makes us unite into a great oneness. Knowledge of self makes you take on the great virtue of learning. It has been said, I want to share this, brothers and sisters. I should be able to share this. It has been said that leaders are readers. Or you could reverse this and say readers are leaders. And that in the hands of the oppressor are the minds of the oppressed. And education will not liberate if the curriculum is written by the enemy. Dr. John Henry Clark says, powerful people never educate powerless people in what they need, that they can use or take the power away from the powerful. So our enemy, brothers and sisters, will not educate us to come into power, that we will be able to take power from them. So I end tonight by saying, get knowledge of self to benefit self. And who is it that is here that's teaching us love for self, knowledge of self?
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
The most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And brothers and sisters, you may say, and his spiritual son, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And all of us who are in line with him, we are saying to you, brothers and sisters, accept your own.
Be yourself.
And be yourself. And what is your own self? Your own self is a righteous Muslim, one who submits their will to do the will of God and overcomes the conqueror, overcomes the ways of Israel. You didn't hear me. So I know we're saying we are the Israelites and we are all of these kind of names we put in on self. I'm saying to you, be yourself.
Yes, sir.
The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said he comes to put us on top of civilization. To put us on top of civilization. You are the best nation that has been raised up for men. Black man and woman, you are a direct descendant of God Almighty himself. And take it or let it alone. but the genetic coding of God
Yes,
is
sir.
written in your DNA, black man and woman. Accept your own and be your God self and reject Satan and all of his ways. Reject the Caucasian and all of his ways. Reject the white man and what he has made of us and what he has placed on us. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you with the light of understanding as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Salam,
Salam.
Thank you very much.
All praises are due to Allah.
Allah.
I will open up for a question or two. Yes, ma'am. I see your hand, Sister Adasha. Go
Okay,
ahead, ma'am.
one second, sir. I just want to. Excuse me for a second. I want to thank God for grace and mercy that you and I and everyone here is still here, and that we have not been consumed, and that we have been given continued grace to submit to the will that was orchestrated for each and every one of our lives before we came here. God is great and God is worthy to be praised. I thank God for raising up a man like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and giving the Honorable Elijah Muhammad the blueprint to resurrect those that are willing to hear the call to action, that are willing to submit to the change, because we know that a person convinced against their will is of the